Good morning. I've had a rough few days. I've been battered around the head on a regular basis regarding knowledge of my ignorance. But won't, I won't relent. I will not back down. Whereas I have knowledge of my ignorance, the first thing I fucking said was I have never played any music, I have never done any DJing, I haven't even done an hour of DJing. And this is an acknowledgement of my ignorance. That's the first thing I did, was acknowledge my ignorance. That's the first thing I did. But I still will not forgo or surrender my faculty of reason. I absolutely will not do this. Because this bullshit of having knowledge of your ignorance is what the Christians did and what everybody does. And they seek to keep you ignorant and to keep you ignorant and to keep you from developing your faculty of reason, that you will not question their authority on the subject, their knowledge, them as an authority on the subject. And this is why they will stay, and including will stay hitting you with knowledge of your ignorance. But to stay ignorant is their objective. But I will concede some ground. I did concede some ground, and I'm going to go through this. If you look at MasterChef, I love MasterChef. I love MasterChef for a number of reasons. It's MasterChef Australia and MasterChef Canada. For me, is the what do you call it? A paragon. It's striving for excellence. It's exactly what striving for excellence looks like. But anyway, I digress. If you watch a top chef, or in MasterChef Australia, the big lad Matt with the flamboyant dresser, he's a food critic. But if you watch them, they can take a mouthful of food, and from that mouthful of food, they can describe all the different flavors, the different spices, the different everything else, and how they're coming together to produce a certain effect or to produce a certain flavor. Basically, I can feel the smokiness, I can feel this out. It's not just, oh, that's lovely, oh, that's delicious, oh, that's the dog's bollocks, Mary, that's lovely. No, they can describe the complexity of the dish, the complexity of the flavors, and how to come together to impact on their sense perceptions and their senses. And then if they're articulate enough, which the big lad is articulate enough, they can write a concept. They can write a narrative to describe a concept, to define a concept. Now, any really, really, really good quality chef like Malcolm B.R. White or that food critic has a refined palate. In other words, they trained their fucking palate. It's a refined palate. They trained their palate. Now you'll see them doing it on MasterChef. They blindfold them and then taste this cheese. What is this? Taste this. What is this? Taste this. What is this? Now this is to train your palate. It's like if you're blind, you develop the other senses in order to go over to compensate for the one you lost. Or you might not. You might sit in the chair and lick your balls. That's completely up to you whether you overcome or don't overcome. But if you're not overcoming, you'll train the other senses to compensate for the one you're down. But they develop the sense of taste. They develop the sense of taste that they can taste each ingredient and how they come together. But they refine their palate. So, if you ask yourself, how many people that go out fine dining and eating in their restaurants, their Michelin 3-star Michelin restaurants, how many of these people have taken the time and made the effort to refine their palate? And the answer is very, very fucking few. Very fucking few. But they delude themselves. He creates the concept. He writes a narrative on his conceptual experience with his refined palate, and then anybody else who has a refined palate can identify with this, but anybody else who has not refined their palate cannot have this experience. But they can delude themselves that they can. Now, they will have an experience on some level, a superficial level. As I say, this is lovely, or they can regurgitate what he said and give the impression that they too are connoisseurs of fine food. But unless they put the effort in and refine their palate, they are not connoisseurs of fine food. They are, in my opinion, fake. delude themselves that they are connoisseurs of fine food, and that they have an expensive taste to rationalise their money that they spend on this. Obviously, there's a lot of people value things with using a monetary value because they haven't got the capacity to identify it by any other means. They haven't got a refined palate. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you want a different sense perception or to experience a higher concept, you don't have to throw money at. You only have to refine your palate, or refine your hearing, or refine your tastes. Basically, develop your sense perceptions, because reality is perceived through the senses. So develop your sense perceptions, and you will be able to experience new and higher concepts. That applies to all life. But as I say, to a fool, wisdom sounds foolish. So, okay, we could apply this to the music as well, but I wasn't judging the music. I was just questioning certain aspects of the concept. But I'll give Deborah her due. I'm not saying she's not a DJ, no more than I'm saying is a chef of a lesser competence. Not a chef. He's still a chef. He is a chef. But if he's recreating dishes and trying to pretend or write a narrative to allude that he's more competent than he actually is, or knows he is, then what will we call him? Like what is the definition of fake? It's pretending to be something, like it's creating a delusion, or it's pretending to be something of a lesser substance, of a lesser value, to pass as something of a higher value. You know what I mean? Based on certain properties. Like, I'll tell you in a minute. I'll explain it after. But basically, what I'm saying is, when we're judging fake, you have to say who is the fake, because there's an awful lot of the Emperor's New Clothes going on. But this can go the other way as well. For example, in Bulgaria, we have 2-litre bottles of beer. And often people come to the hospital and they say, oh, that's fake beer. And I said, where the fuck did you even get that narrative? Who's telling you this bullshit? I said, that's fucking the same as any other mass-produced beer. If you use your noggin at all. I said, like, because they say it's just water with colouring and alcohol added to it. But why even bother your arse where you could just fucking brew beer? Just brew beer, the brewery's just down the town here. You can go down and see for yourself. You can go down to a tour of the brewery and see it for yourself. But it's the same as any other mass-produced beer. And the Bulgarian beers are as good as any other mass-produced beer, if not better. Some of them are better. Like, even a lot tastier, more of a hoppy flavour of them, than Budweiser and Heineken and these mass-produced beers. Some of the Bulgarian beers are in the 2-litre bottles are lovely beers. But anyway, why I said to myself, why do people want to cling to this narrative of fake beer? Well, a lot of them want to cling to this narrative of fake beer so they can rationalise the fact that they're being double taxed, that the state takes half their wages, and then with the half they've left, they continue to eat into it by, for example, as I say, how much is beer in Ireland? How much is beer? €6-7 a pint. And I'm buying what, two litres here for 150. For 150 euro. So €6 or €7 a pint versus 2 litres for 150. I don't even drink here in the funeral home. Well, they don't serve me anymore, but no matter, that doesn't matter. It's still, like, I can still drink up in the hostel for 150 for 2 litres, and I enjoy every bit as much of an ambience. But I'm just saying that they want to rationalise the fact that they're being double taxed. The same as the smokes. €2.70 for 20 smokes here, 14 or 15 euro back home in Ireland. The shite's being taxed out of them, so the government takes half their wages and then continues to tax the shite out of them. And you have to ask, when you're finished putting fuel in your car and getting taxed to drive to work and getting taxed for anything that's deemed a luxury, like drink or smokes or anything else that you might do with your free time. Well, free time, my arse. But basically, does this not equate to slavery? Is it not the same as slavery? No. The fact that they give you whatever sum of money you get, but then they continue to ease into it at every opportunity. I'm not sure if they're buying the sugar tax or not yet, but it's just continuous under the guise of it being for your well-being. They just give you a certain amount of money, then they continue to eat into it and leaving you a very small portion when they're finished taking it in VAT and taxes and everything else. How much of their wage of your wages are they actually taking off you? But that's in my, well, of course, that's just my perspective. But that's slavery. Anyway. But I'm saying then, but my point is that it's very easy to cling to the lynch mob. So like while we have the madness of the crowd, it's very easy to go with the delusion, this is wonderful, oh this is gorgeous, this is the emperor's new clothes, but it's also very easy to go with the lynch mob. This is shite, this is fake, this is anything else. But a lot of these things, they don't need your, well, let's see if I have time to tell you this. They don't need your opinion. But some things, they do need your opinion because you have to use your faculty of reason to assess your value for it. You have to assess what value is it to you. And when you have to assess what value it is to you, there's a number of variables that you have to take into account. For example, I have a lad came into the hospital the other day. He's a Reiki master and he does sound healing, and he's a Reiki master. He's straight back from Nepal. He's just after coming back from Nepal. Now he arrived into the hospital, he hasn't any money left or anything else, and he said he's a Reiki master, and he said he's this, that, the other, and I said, Grant. I says, Grant, I'm not sure like where I stand in this, but after getting beaten around the head about having knowledge of my ignorance, I was willing to concede that I could be ignorant in this regard. When it comes to these alternative remedies. I myself am very much an advocate for natural remedies, but then again, you see, the problem is you have to be able to discern what's real and what's fake, don't you? Like, you have to be able to discern what's real and what's fake. And the thing is, in order for me to be able to redeem understand what's real and what's fake, I need relativity. I need to experience someone who is not to assert themselves as an authority, but somebody who has experience, and where a lot of people find them to be the best, where people find value in them, but they have an established market. And then I could try this, and then I could see what I think of it based on, well, if this is well, that's hard to know, isn't it? Like because if they're on Instagram, they might have a massive following, and it might be they might be as fake as an Ekman. They just market it better. This is the emperor's new clothes, isn't it? But anyway, so what could I do? Only sail on, because I had nothing to relatives. So he asked me, do I want some sound healing and do I want some Reiki? Now, I was after arguing with myself for a few days, like over what's fake and what's real and everything else. And I was fully prepared to say to him, I'm not going to delude myself, because I'm not going to delude myself. I'm not going to start pretending, oh yes, that was wonderful, yes, I felt this, and yes, I felt that. I wasn't going to start doing that, so I had my speech prepared, and I said to myself, I'm not going to delude myself, and I'm not going to support you in your delusions either. Absolutely, I'm not, no. But when push came to shove, I felt he was genuine in his belief, but then I don't know what the question is. There's a lot of variables came into play, but I hadn't got the heart to stamp his face into the ground. So I just said that was an interesting experience, which it was an interesting experience, because I smoked a little fag from Nepal before I had it, and then I drank 2 of these 3-in-1 Nescafe coffees. So I wasn't sure whether I was coming or going, but regardless, it was an interesting experience in that, like, well, it was an experience that I got to evaluate it, but I lay down on the ground and I enjoyed lying on my back in the sun for a little while, give my head a rest and listen to this ball. But it was an interesting experience. But like, well, as to say, there can be, if there's no expectation, there can be no disappointment. So there was no disappointment. I didn't have an expectation, but at the same time, I wasn't going to start pretending that was something it wasn't. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't. I wasn't going to start this bullshit. I'm absolutely not prepared to endorse something like that. That I wasn't going to delude myself and continue to look for support in this delusion by endorsing this experience. And then the whole question is, I may go.